So welcome back. This is lecture 10 of cost and management accounting and cost accounting of group 1 as well. So this is marginal costing CMA intermediate June 2022 attempt. ठीक है, ये है हमारा marginal costing lecture 10. ये कॉमन पार्ट है जो आपके ग्रुप 1 में भी है, 30 मार्क्स का पार्ट टेक्निक्स ऑफ कॉस्टिंग, और ग्रुप 2 में भी CMA में है, ये कॉमन पार्ट है. ठीक है, अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस जो ग्रुप 2 में जो एडिशनल पार्ट है दैट वी विल कवर सेपरेटली. ओके फाइन. सो वी वर डूइंग प्रॉब्लम्स. ठीक है, सो now I'll first take you through, we'll continue with the marginal problems. Okay, just before that I'll take you through one last concept. Okay, which is absorption costing and marginal costing, right? So where this will be concept wise, this will be the last thing in marginal costing which we need to know. After this there are only some problems which we have to do. Okay, so tomorrow's session entirely will be doing problems. After that some problems will be left, but we will continue those problems. Okay, along with we'll start your standard costing from the from next Saturday. Okay, and marginal costing problems we'll keep on doing one by one. We'll do, it will be a continuing affair for us. Okay, so tomorrow as such will be the last 2 lectures of marginal costing, or say last 3, as we are planning 3 tomorrow. Okay, so now absorption costing जो है costing absorption costing is a different method of cost, different type of costing than marginal costing. Okay, so just to understand absorption costing, you can just think about how financial accounting functions. So absorption costing also functions in a similar way. Now one major difference between your absorption costing and marginal costing is, okay, this is marginal costing. In absorption costing, so you have this production cost. Okay, so in production cost you have all that material, labor, okay, and your factory overheads. Okay, these 3 totaling will give you your production cost in absorption costing. Okay, now what happens, your factory overheads, okay, this is classified into fixed factory overheads and variable factory overheads. ठीक है, तो अब यहाँ पे जो हमने देखे ये absorption costing में मेन जो है, जो आप कॉस्ट शीट देखते हो ना, कॉस्ट शीट में हम जैसे देखते हैं वो है बेसिकली दैट इज absorption costing. ठीक है, सो मार्जिनल कॉस्टिंग में जो है हम क्या करते हैं, बिहेवियरल क्लासिफिकेशन करते हैं, क्लासिफिकेशन of cost. This is your marginal costing. So behavior क्या हो सकता है, either it is fixed हो सकता है या it will vary with units. हर यूनिट से वेरी करेगा या यूनिट के साथ चेंज नहीं होगा, पीरियड कॉस्ट होगा. ओके, these are the 2 things identified in marginal costing. That's why it is called behavioral analysis. ठीक है, fixed and variable ये. और ये जो है absorption costing कॉस्ट का बिहेवियर के ऊपर से एनालाइज नहीं करता है. ओके, कॉस्ट के फंक्शन के हिसाब से एनालाइज करता है, फंक्शनल एनालिसिस करता है. ओके, फंक्शनल एनालिसिस. फंक्शनल एनालिसिस में क्या होता है, आपका फैक्ट्री इज द मिड पॉइंट. ओके, आइदर यू हैव प्री फैक्ट्री हियर, ठीक है, प्री फैक्ट्री एक्सपेंसेस, और ये हो गया आपका पोस्ट फैक्ट्री एक्सपेंसेस. पोस्ट फैक्ट्री में क्या क्या आएगा आपका, ऑफिस एक्सपेंसेस एंड सेलिंग एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एक्सपेंसेस. ठीक है, दिस विल बी योर पोस्ट फैक्ट्री एक्सपेंसेस. प्री फैक्ट्री में आपका मटेरियल, लेबर एंड ऑल दैट. ठीक है, सो प्री फैक्ट्री से फैक्ट्री तक, ठीक है, ये एक ब्लॉक माना जाता है, और फैक्ट्री के बाद ये एक ब्लॉक माना जाता है, ठीक है। सो दिस इज द क्लासिफिकेशन विच अब्जॉर्प्शन कॉस्टिंग यूजेस, ठीक है। तो कॉस्ट को जो दिखाने का तरीका अलग अलग है, राइट। तो बेसिकली in most costing procedures, what the type of costing you are using is absorption costing. Okay, it's also called as full cost method, जहां आप इस तरह से आप ये कर रहे हो। So, एक हो गया absorption costing technique, दूसरा हो गया marginal costing technique, ठीक है। So anything, कोई भी एक चीज अगर आप जॉब कॉस्टिंग को ले लो, ठीक है, मेथड ऑफ कॉस्टिंग, इट्स अ मेथड ऑफ कॉस्टिंग, ठीक है। जॉब कॉस्टिंग को आप अब्जॉर्प्शन कॉस्टिंग के हिसाब से भी प्रेजेंट कर सकते हो, मार्जिनल के हिसाब से भी प्रेजेंट कर सकते हो बेसिकली, ठीक है। तो दीज टू आर द ब्रॉड ऑप्शंस अवेलेबल, ठीक है, फॉर प्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ डेटा, ठीक है। ओके, सो नाउ एक जो है ना, ये तो ठीक है। यहाँ पे कैसे इसको हम दिखा रहे हैं, ठीक है, किस तरह से वी आर शोइंग द स्प्लिट, जैसे प्री फैक्ट्री, फैक्ट्री, पोस्ट फैक्ट्री, ठीक है। यहाँ पे हमको फर्क नहीं पड़ता है फैक्ट्री में है या ऑफिस का है, we see no difference. We only want to see which part is fixed, which part is variable in marginal. Okay, so now यहाँ पे when we talk of absorption costing, जो fixed overheads होता है ना, तो जब प्रोडक्शन होता है तो मान लीजिए now this fixed overheads I'm just taking and I'm bringing it down just to talk about it, ठीक है। इसको ये fixed, this is the fixed overheads, ठीक है, ऊपर वाला। now say you are normally, ठीक, ये वेरिएबल फैक्ट्री ओवरहेड्स का तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ओके, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट फिक्स्ड फैक्ट्री ओवरहेड्स, ठीक है। से इन अ ईयर you produce 1000 units, ठीक है, you produce 1000 units and your fixed your factory rent and all the fixed costs, that is suppose 1 lakh, ठीक है। So what will be your per unit here? Per unit fixed cost, if I want to cost, will be 1 lakh upon 1000, correct? ये 100 हो जाएगा, ये समझ गए, ये फर्स्ट थिंग। So now this is your normal production, you know that this is going to be my normal production, ठीक है। This is the cost, you know, cost इतना आएगा करके, ठीक है। Almost cost will be there, fixed cost is always already committed, so you can you know, काफी हद तक आप बोल सकते हो कि इतना कॉस्ट आएगा। So to a large extent you can be sure of the cost, ठीक है, but you won't be sure of the units as such. Now what happens for costing purposes, what they do is they use this normal units, ठीक है, and the fixed cost, and they find out this per unit fixed cost. It is called as, another name for it is overhead, that is fixed overhead absorption rate, ठीक है। Now this is 100. So whenever they produce, say in a quarter they produce, this is your year, right? So suppose first quarter में they have produced 200 units, ठीक है। So now once they produce 200 units, ठीक है, suppose they have to, यहाँ से उनको they have to disburse it to various people, ठीक है, बेचने के लिए। सब ये यहाँ जाएगा, यहाँ जाएगा, यहाँ जाएगा। So they need to know the total cost now, okay, of all these units split up, ठीक है। So what they do is they just, for getting the fixed cost part, they use this overhead absorption rate. So this 200 for fixed cost, it is found as 200 into 100, okay. So 20,000 becomes your total fixed cost, okay. And based on this you can bifurcate to whoever you are issuing it to, okay. So why this is done is because they need to know this per unit rate so that different lots can be costed for the based on the per unit fixed cost, okay. So this part is clear. Why you have a requirement to do this? Okay, say in a quarter they have produced 200 units out of say 1000, right? And now they have to give it to separate for separate purpose. They have to issue it now. So if they have to issue it, they also have to know the fixed component part so that they can cost it properly to them. Okay, I am giving you a product of this much value. Okay, right? So that is why there is the requirement of this overhead absorption rate. Okay, in absorption costing. That is why this overhead absorption rate is used. Now, because this overhead absorption rate is based on this normal units, at the end of the period, there can always be some discrepancy between the actual fixed cost and what you have costed through this, right? Correct. So suppose now I have got this 100 based on 1000 units. Okay. But let us say in the end, it happened that I actually produced 1100 units. Okay. In the end, I found out that I actually produced 1100 units. So then what will happen? What would be, so total to fixed cost will remain 1000. Okay. So total fixed cost will remain 1000. Real fixed cost jo hai. Okay. But now what I have costed out, that will be how much? This 1100 into 100. ठीक है, during various lots throughout the year मैंने क्या cost किया होगा, ये into 100 जो हुए होंगे, जैसे for 100 I would have costed 100 into 100, फिर 200 होंगे तो 200 into 100, like that I would have valued it, correct? So total value हो जाएगा आपका 1100 into 100, ठीक है, यानी 1,10,000. ये बात समझ में आई सबको? ये हो जाएगा 1,10,000. So what has happened? आपने actually क्या किए कि you have charged more or less? You have charged more, right? 10,000 more you have charged now to the products. Correct? 10,000 more you have charged. So when you have charged more, it is called over absorption of fixed overheads. ठीक है? Similarly, ये हो सकता है कि अगर ये 90,000 हो गया तो क्या? If this becomes 90,000, so इसको यहीं रखते हैं, इसको ले लेंगे. If it becomes say 900 units, ठीक है? This was 1,100. Now if it's less than 900, then it will become 90,000, correct? मैंने जो चार्ज किया 90,000 ही चार्ज किया. मेरा full charge था 1 lakh. I have charged only 90,000, but actually the real amount which I am paying for fixed overheads, that is 1 lakh. So to the products I have charged 10,000 less. So if I have charged less, okay, it is under absorption. So this is always confusing. So what you should do is, whether it is under or over absorption, for that always take your actuals as the base. Okay, in your actuals, the real thing, the real final product which you are charging, in that you have charged more or charged less. Okay, that would be the basis to determine whether it is over or under absorption. This is called under absorption. Okay, ये concept you understood? Any questions here? You can ask. So this is the concept.
Sir.
Yes.
So sir, this method is mainly based upon the fixed cost, which is somewhere or other ignored in the marginal costing. Is that the difference?
Yes.
So sir, when we are talking about the fixed cost per unit, then both the datas, whether be in the marginal or be in the under the absorption costing, both are based on the past experience, means last year data.
Yes.
Means I am going to produce 1,000 unit, that has been determined by my past data.
Yes.
So sir, for example, in the current year I produce 1,100 units.
Yeah.
Okay, so we thought from the past data we got that the fixed cost per unit is 100 per unit. So for the current, so whatever we do in the absorption costing, that is being done in the earlier days, like beforehand it is being done.
Yeah.
Or like.
Yeah. So beforehand you are determining the overhead absorption rate. So you have to determine this before the start of the period, because once you start issuing products, you need this rate to cost it right from the beginning. Okay, so which is why you need this 100 much before, right? So if you split up this annual into 4 halves, okay, then there will be the first split where you will have quarterly data. Now, within the quarterly data also, you might be sending it to say different subunits of yours and all. When you're sending it to different subunits, you need to know the entire price at which you are sending it. So which is why there is a need for you to have this overhead absorption rate right at the beginning. Okay, so all this exercise, why we are doing is you need this rate. At the most, see, in the end, adjustment is little here and there, right? But you need this rate at the beginning. Okay, because the units which you are issuing, although, okay, fixed cost is a period cost, but the units which are having in a year, you have 10,000 units, but you will have to break these units into several units based on the lots you are sending it to various departments and all that. Okay, so then for each of those things, each of those lots, okay, or things like that which have an independent identity, you will have to use this overhead absorption rate to cost it. Okay, is it clear? No, not clear.
Clear, sir, but that per unit fixed cost means charging it in a quarter, and then means that one is means not yet.
No, see here, first thing is now, first thing is this per unit fixed cost, which is called overhead absorption rate. Right? Okay, why overhead absorption rate? Because here you are assuming the production. Okay, so which is why we will not call it technically, we will not call it per unit fixed cost. We'll call it overhead absorption rate. Okay, but ideally it is your per unit fixed cost, but based on a normal units assumption. Okay, this is the first point. ये clear हुआ? ठीक है? Now next
हाँ
thing,
sir.
right? So अब जो है now in the first quarter, जैसे मैंने आपको बोला, say we are producing 200 units, ठीक है? ये हम मैन्युफैक्चर कर रहे हैं 200 units in the first quarter. The first quarter में 200 units में कितना fixed cost लगा, that you have to know in the first quarter itself. तो कॉस्ट को तभी जानना जरूरी होता है आपके लिए. ओके, तभी अब ये आपका क्वार्टर में प्रोडक्शन है, ठीक है? आप क्वार्टर में प्रोडक्शन करेंगे एंड देन यू विल सेंड इट टू सम ऑफ योर सब यूनिट्स, ठीक है? इसमें से 50 आपके कोई और वेयर हाउस में भेजेंगे, करेक्ट? और इसमें से आप सपोज 100 और कहीं भेजेंगे. यू विल बी सेंडिंग इट टू वेरियस प्लेसेस, राइट? व्हेन यू सेंड इट, यू हैव टू नो द टोटल कॉस्ट ऑफ इट, करेक्ट? बट यू विल नॉट नो द रियल कॉस्ट टिल योर ईयर एक्सपायर्स, क्योंकि तब तक आपको रियल पर यूनिट फिक्स कॉस्ट मालूम नहीं होगा. ठीक है, समझ रहे हैं ना ये पॉइंट? तो इसमें बस इतनी सी बात है कि सो दैट आई नो जो भी यूनिट्स मैं बाहर भेज रहा हूं, मेरा मैन्युफैक्चर जो मैंने किया है उसका पूरा मुझे पता लगे कि यानी इसका राउंड अबाउट फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट कितना इसमें इसके अंदर है करके. तो दैट्स व्हाई आई एम यूजिंग द ओवरहेड अब्जॉर्प्शन रेट. दैट्स ऑल, और कुछ भी नहीं है. ठीक है, क्लियर हुआ?
सर, समझा. यस सर.
हाँ, नहीं हुआ तो बोलो, मैं और कोई तरीका सोचता हूँ समझाने का. एवरीवन अंडरस्टूड?
एकदम सर, क्लियर.
Okay, ठीक है. So everyone have understood. It's only thing what we are doing is, see, we are just finding out a fixed overhead rate so that all units, so that you don't have to wait till the end of the year till you till you charge your fixed cost for whichever purpose you are issuing the units. Okay, you want to charge it then and there, right? So for that you need an overhead absorption rate. So now because you are charging it at a hypothetical rate, so there will be this situation will arise, which I explained you. Either there will be an over absorption, either there will be an under absorption. Now we'll see one problem, ठीक है? वहां आपको you will understand it very clearly कि कैसे we account for over and under absorption.
Okay. Sir, from this data we can say that over absorption of factory overheads is somewhere around favorable, means a favorable situation for a factory.
No. See, actually speaking, no, both these are hypothetical. Okay. In overhead, actual your real cost is 1 lakh. Okay. Your real cost is 1 lakh, but to the products you have charged more. Okay. So this one over absorption is a case when you have just inflated your costs. Okay. So you can kind of say that so in the end there is no benefit as such because you will adjust it. Okay, your real cost is
Yes, sir,
100.
but sir, but as
In a
compared to
short
the
time,
under
yeah, in a short
absorption,
time, yeah, in a short time, this 10,000 is kind of benefit for you. You can say that. Okay, but that's for a very short time because this is adjusted as soon as the quarter ends. Okay, so the position comes back to normal. Okay, so it's not something like,
okay,
it will not go to your P&L and all as a profit. You will adjust it before that. Okay, in the short term, yes, 10,000 more you have charged. Okay, or right here you have charged 10,000 less in the short term. So this might appear beneficial, right? But it will get adjusted at the end of the quarter. Nothing will go as profit to your P&L. Okay. So I'll just retain this ये वाला table ऐसे ही रखता हूँ just in case we need in future for any discussion. चलो, okay. So now, okay. So now, so what is absorption costing? It classifies expenses on a functional basis जो मैंने आपको बताया. Marginal costing is on the basis of its nature. Nature means that fixed and variable. ठीक है. Absorption costing में fixed expenses are distributed over products based on predetermined level of output. ठीक है. So predetermined level of output is what we had just seen, right? 1,000 units. वो आपका predetermined. It leads to over and under absorption भी बोलते हैं. It also called recovery. Okay. Recovery is just another word for it. You can say over absorption, under absorption, or over recovery and under recovery. Okay. Both are same. The actual wala is if it's greater or less, the over and under recovery hoga. Okay. This difficulty will not arise in marginal costing because of the fixed overheads को as product cost वो लेता ही नहीं. ठीक है. Another thing, another difference will be, see, in product costing, what will happen is, say if this is your say this is your opening stock, okay, and this is your whatever purchases, whatever, okay, this is your closing stock. Now in absorption costing, in marginal costing, fixed in valuing stock you value it at marginal cost or your variable cost. Okay, ये stock valuation में you don't have fixed cost, but in absorption you take total cost. ठीक है, total cost जो है उसके हिसाब से your units. जैसे फाइनेंशियल अकाउंटिंग में हम क्या करते हैं, फाइनेंशियल अकाउंटिंग में जो आपका टोटल कॉस्ट आता है उसी के हिसाब से पर यूनिट बनता है ना फाइनेंशियल अकाउंटिंग. दैट्स व्हाई आई टोल्ड यू कि फाइनेंशियल अकाउंटिंग इज, यू कैन से काइंड ऑफ अब्जॉर्प्शन कॉस्टिंग. वो तो फाइनेंशियल है, दिस इज कॉस्ट. मैं just trying to trying to draw a parallel between them. Okay, ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे अब क्या होता है, आपका सपोज पिछले बार का ओपनिंग स्टॉक है. ओपनिंग स्टॉक के अंदर क्या रहेगा, आपका फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट का पार्ट रहेगा, वेरिएबल का पार्ट रहेगा, राइट. इन योर ओपनिंग स्टॉक, से द फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट, say there are opening stock is 50 units, closing stock is 150 units, let us say. ठीक है. So in this 50 units, okay, your fixed cost part I am saying, okay, fixed cost element. So in all units there will be fixed cost element and variable cost element, right. आपका fixed cost element है, मान लीजिए this will be, say it is 500. ठीक है, मैं I'm just assuming something, and say in this it is your fixed cost element is 1,500. So अब जो है your closing stock is on the income side, that we know, right. Opening stock is on the expense side. तो इसमें net क्या हो रहा है, net your credit is credit ज्यादा हो रहा है by 1000, correct? Income side is being shown more by 1000. ठीक है? So in this case, your absorption costing will show a profit of 1000 more than marginal costing. ठीक है? Similarly, marginal costing. ये समझ में I can show this even more neatly if required, लेकिन just for an argument में बता रहा हूँ, we can discuss it more later. ठीक है? वैसे अगर if your opening stock and closing stock are same, ठीक है, तब ये वाला जो फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट पिछले बार के क्लोजिंग स्टॉक से आता है, करेक्ट? दिस क्लोजिंग स्टॉक, this opening stock is actually the closing stock of previous period, so it will have fixed cost of previous period. If the fixed cost rates are remaining totally same in previous and current period, then आपका there will be no difference in marginal and absorption costing. अगर if fixed cost has become little costlier, although this is same, ये भी 50 units है, ये भी 50 units है, still you will have a difference. ठीक है? Absorption and marginal costing. This is point number 2. Third is if there is no opening and closing stock, marginal costing profit will be same as absorption costing profit. ठीक है? Last point will be, इसका बस उल्टा कर दो आप कि if this side becomes 1500, that side becomes 500. ठीक है? That will be the other way around. So in that case, marginal absorption costing will be 1000 less than marginal costing. Okay. Yes, you can say that absorption costing is providing more accurate data, but the reason of marginal costing is not to provide accurate data. It is there to help you take some decisions. So it is not there to actually function as a record of data. Okay. So the objective itself is totally different from marginal costing. So if you can join back now immediately, I'll just close this session. You can join back right now. Okay.